Alright, hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So as you can see, I'm in a woodland surrounded by beautiful autumn leaves, nice bright green moss. It's been raining the past few days, everything's damp and wet, but it's just the perfect autumn day. This is kind of my go-to camp locally in the autumn months just because of how beautiful the area is. So I'm here tonight for an overnight camp. I'm going to be testing out a new hot tent. It's actually an ultralight hot tent with a super big vestibule. So I'm really excited to give it a try. I don't know if you can hear on camera, but it is a bit windy. The winds are actually supposed to pick up through the afternoon into the evening, and then it's actually supposed to rain all night into tomorrow. So the tent should get a really good test of how waterproof it is. So as you can see here, I've got this really big, beautiful flat spot. I do have some debris to clear out of the way, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. Absolutely love this area. It's surrounded by all these beautiful trees and all these autumn colors, and the ground is just littered in autumn. It's incredible. It's such a pretty spot. I've actually been to this location before, and I'm actually back for a very important reason, which I'll get to in a little bit when I set up the wood stove. But I do need to clear some of this debris, so we're gonna go ahead and do that now. Let's get started. So you really have to look out, because when it's covered in leaves like this, some of these branches can be hidden. And I am using an ultralight tent, like I said, and the material's super thin, a bit thinner than I would normally like for a tent, but it's huge and it's very lightweight. So there are some sacrifices that had to be made, I guess, with durability. So I really want to make sure I get the ground clear so I don't have any hidden stems or anything like that that puncture the base of the tent. So today I'm going to be using the Nature Hike Massive Solo. When do you see this thing? If you don't follow me on Instagram, it is an absolute beast, and it only weighs, I think it was like 2.4 kilos, which is incredible. So let's get it set up. So I have attached my own ground sheet to it because, like I said, it is a very thin base material. I think it's like 20D. So I just wanted to have that bit of an extra protection since there's tons of debris on the ground this time of year. I like folding my tents like this because I know exactly where the base of the tent is, so I can position it accordingly. All right, there it is. That is so incredibly easy to pitch. It's completely freestanding, including the vestibule. It goes into sleeves and then clips on to the outer exoskeleton, just like my Hillebergs do. And as you can see, even without anything guyed out or staked to the ground, it's pretty taut as it is, which is pretty awesome. Such a cool tent. I really like it so far. And this was super cheap, by the way. I got it on sale as well, which made it even cheaper. It is, like I said, it's thin. This outer fabric here is only 15D, and I believe the base is 20D. That's why I have my DD tarp underneath it as well to protect it. But overall, a fully freestanding hot tent with enough space for almost two, massive vestibule. Really liking this so far. Granted, I haven't used it yet. I've only set it up in the back garden, so I'm just excited, but I have no idea if it's any good or not. I am very concerned with the thin fabrics. It is supposed to rain all night and actually be quite windy, so we'll definitely get to see if it's waterproof tonight. So I'm going to go ahead, finish staking it out completely, and then we'll go ahead and get the stove in. It is supposed to get a little windy tonight, so I'm just going ahead and attaching the guy lines, which I hadn't attached yet. It's a pretty dense woodland, so it shouldn't be an issue, but just in case, especially since I'll be running a stove. This is actually a really cool feature. There's actually a clip which allows you to open the door to vent without having to worry about it blowing towards the stove. You can just unclip it if you want to roll it up. This is gigantic. You could sit in here with a chair if you want. This will be fantastic when the rain starts. All right, let's get the stove in. It's even got this really cool window that you can open and close from the inside to vent the tent or even look out. Does need a clip though to tie it. Oh well. I am going to clear the leaves just underneath the snow, but because the ground's really muddy and wet, I do want to leave some to set the wood on top of. This is really sharp, so it's always a good idea to wear gloves if you can when doing these stovepipes. If you guys are new to hot tent camping and you want to know how you get a stovepipe pre-burned in without any dents and things like that in it, I put a video a while back on Instagram, a reel on how to properly roll it for the first time without dinging it up too much. I'm not sure if I put that on YouTube or not in the shorts, but if not, it's on my Instagram account. But that's how you can get it perfect like this. Makes it super easy to re-roll it, and it's not all dented up, which I sometimes see a lot of times when looking at people's videos on YouTube. Okay, here it is, completely pitched. So I've got it all staked and guyed out now. The vestibule is absolutely massive. You have enough space to keep not only your wood, but to probably sit in a chair in here. And as for the inner tent, you have a completely separate section, which I believe is 50 inches wide, which is awesome. Netted and everything. So that's great because there are still some bugs out right now. But overall, really like it so far. Really like the color. I believe it's moon sand or something like that. But got the stove in, as you can see there. So plenty of height from the top. Really cool tent. Really liking it. Again, means nothing. I haven't used it yet. But tonight, hopefully, I'm going to get some wind and rain, so determine whether or not I like it. But on design alone, I absolutely love it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get my bag and stuff inside the tent, and then I need to start thinking about going and collecting some wood for tonight. There are tons of little beetles and stuff in here, so I think I'm going to put my bag in here and kind of keep it closed for the time being. So it'll be a nice place to kneel or get out of the tent and put my shoes on. Love it. So you'll probably notice I don't have Zoe with me. Again, sorry about that, but she's currently in heat. So it just wasn't something I wanted to deal with. She has to wear diapers in the house so she doesn't get blood anywhere. And I would have had to put her in diapers in the tent, and it just wasn't something I was looking to deal with on this camp. I do just want to relax. I've got my saw, got the belt knife. We do need to go out and collect some wood for tonight. But one of the reasons I actually came to this spot again is, if you remember, I did a camp last year and I actually had a ton of leftover wood. So I actually stored it underneath a big fallen tree. I'm hoping it's still in decent conditions because it has been a year, but it was pretty well covered, so I think we might be good. So we're gonna go find that spot, and if that wood's okay, it's gonna potentially save me a ton of work cutting wood for tonight. So let's go check that out first to see how much wood I actually need to get for tonight. So if I'm not mistaken, it should just be right here. So I did put a ton of debris on it last year when I left it. It looks like it helped out a lot. All right. Well, yeah, some of the pieces on top, as you can see there, are definitely rotten. But if I split it open, it might actually be okay. This is gonna save me so much time. One of the toughest parts about hot tent camping is actually collecting and processing enough wood. So this is awesome. Oh yeah. Some of this is great. Oh man, this is gonna save me so much time. I'm gonna go ahead and separate it, and then I'll get back to you and we'll see how much we need to collect. All right, so that's quite the haul. This is some of the old oak that was on top and on the bottom. That's looking really rough, so I'm not too sure how much of that I'll be able to use, but I'll just put it next to the fire and kind of let it dry out tonight. But the stuff that was not directly on the ground, like some of this hazel, as you can hear, it's actually looks rough, but it sounds bone dry. I've got a good bit of it there, and I've got a good bit of it here. And again, some of the pieces look rough, but look at some of them. Some of them are perfect. That was all underneath there. Really happy I took the time to actually save that on the last camp. But as you can see, it was a ton of wood. It would have been a shame for it to go to waste. So I'm gonna go ahead and drag it back to the tent, separate the good pieces from kind of the not so good pieces. And then once I see how it looks next to the stove, I'll have a better idea of how much I need to actually go and collect. Yeah, a lot of this is admittedly really terrible. I'm gonna go ahead, organize this. There's some more I have to go get. I'm gonna take the really, really bad wet stuff and kind of use that as the base around the stove, and that'll kind of keep this from burning, and hopefully it'll dry this off. And then I'll put the really fantastic stuff on top of it. Well, it doesn't look like as much once I got it in here next to the stove, but I'd say half of it is good enough to start a fire right now, but the other half does definitely need to be dried out a bit. A lot of this is cosmetic. Even though this looks rough, you can hear that it's actually dry. So these should be fine. There are a ton of hazel trees around, and they're usually pretty quick to cut, and they burn really, really well, especially inside a small stove like this if I get thin enough diameters. I didn't bring an axe with me because this is my tiny stove, so I wouldn't be wasting my time getting big rounds to then chop with the axe. So I just really tried to go lightweight on this trip and brought my smallest stove and this lightweight hot tent. I'm gonna go ahead, get my saw out and get enough that I feel a bit more comfortable with to keep the fire going for at least a couple hours while the rest of the not so great stuff dries out. Let's get some wood. One of the things I love the most about this woodland is there is no shortage of wood. There's tons of oak trees, and even these branches here that have fallen, you know, it may be wet on the outside, but if I cut into this, that'll be perfect firewood. And then I can use this stuff as kindling to get the fire going. I'm not far from my camp at all. You can see the tent off there in the distance, so I don't have to drag it very far either. And then that hazel is right there, and there's more of it on the ground as well. So I have about an hour to get enough wood, and I should easily be able to get it. And then we'll go ahead, get settled in. And like I said, later this afternoon into the evening, it's supposed to start raining, and it's not gonna stop for a day and a half, 2 days. Should be a cozy night in the tent. Let's get this wood cut. Here's a helpful tip for you. Something like this, super dry. I would never be able to break this with my knee, which is good. It's hard and dry enough for firewood. But if you can find a branch like this, so I have this nice two thick branches here in this Y shape, I can actually get this in here. At the point where you're gonna put pressure, that's where it'll break. So if you wanna save yourself some time with the saw, you can just do that. And you can break a bunch of pieces that way. It's not as precise as obviously using a saw, and a piece like that, this isn't gonna fit in the stove, but something like this will. So you do have to be careful when doing it, but if you do it correctly, you can save yourself an absolute ton of time when it comes to wood prep, because you can just break the bits in half instead of actually sawing all of them. So just a helpful tip. Another helpful tip for some of those pieces like this, which are a little too thick to actually break in the way I just showed you, you will have to cut them, but don't cut them completely. Instead of doing that, cut it a little bit more than halfway and just break it off. It'll save you quite a bit of time once you add up all the sections that you're cutting in a day. Alright, I'm not going to bore you with all the sawing, so I'm going to go ahead, get sawing and get it back to the tent before we lose light. Alright, last tip. When you get to a piece like this, which is a little too hard to balance and saw, take your saw, put it between your feet like so, and you can get that last piece that way. I think I got enough. The sun's just now setting, so I just made it. That's the view out the door. I got a bunch of really dry wood over there. I put some of it over here as well, easy to get to. And I've got a ton of kindling as well, so I'm gonna go ahead and get a light because it's starting to get quite dark, and we'll get the fire started. Really excited. I did actually bring my ridge light as well. If this isn't enough light since this is so high. Actually, I already have a bunch of dry small branches for kindling, but I figured I'd show you if you don't have any, what you can do. So I just have one of those little pieces of hazel, one of those small, really dry rounds. So you just take this and quarter it. You're gonna get this super dry wood in the middle. And you create a handful of these really tiny pieces like this, and you'll have really dry wood to start your fire with. Then I can take some of these wet rounds and baton them in half as well. And so even though this was wet on the outside, that'll be fantastic firewood that'll catch pretty easy. A little punky, but the majority still dry, so this'll work. And the rest that's really bad will dry next to the stove. So I have enough of these pieces and enough kindling where I can easily start the fire now, so let's do that. So I'll use a few rounds to kind of create a platform that I can slide a little fat wood in underneath, and then put my smaller kindling and stuff on top. Got a really easy way I'm going to get the fire started here. So this is just, they call it a tinder wick and bellow. It's got a bit of rope here with paraffin in it, so it'll take a spark. Then I can light it and actually just leave it in there until the kindling catches. Just like that. So then I can lengthen it to increase the size of the flame, or put it out entirely by pulling it. There you go. Well, you can definitely hear some of the wood stamp and see the moisture on the inside of the stove, but it is burning, so that's good. So I'll just keep it going for a while until I get a nice bed of embers. and then we'll think about cooking dinner. I just came outside to see how efficient it's burning. You can see you don't even see smoke anymore. So the stove's burned nicely now. This is such a nice setup. I was worried it would actually be too hot because typically I like to hot tent camp when it's right around freezing, and it's well above freezing tonight. But because of that gigantic door where the camera is, all the heat's kind of just getting out, and the winds are starting to pick up, so I think that's kind of helping as well. So it feels really nice and comfortable in here. It's going on 5:30. I've been just sitting here stoking the fire. It's purring along really nicely. Winds and rain should be coming in pretty soon. So I'm gonna go ahead and start cooking. That way when it arrives I can enjoy. Tonight for dinner, I'm going to be making chili. This is one of my absolute favorite things to make when the weather starts getting cold. Easy go-to meal for the family as well. I've made it actually quite a few times, I think, on the channel. Most of those camps, though, I wasn't actually talking yet, and I didn't have my website up and running. I really like this recipe. Perfect fall weather meal, and it'll finally force me to go ahead and put that recipe on my website as well. So let's get started. The wood on the back and on the sides is drying up incredibly well. So I've actually, every once in a while, I'll put in some dry pieces and then I'll put in some of the damp pieces. And it seems to be working pretty well. Chili's just now got to simmer for probably about an hour. The longer the better, really, but an hour should be enough. So I did bring 2 beers on this trip. I think I'm gonna go ahead and enjoy one of them now. Cheers, guys. I absolutely love hot tent camping. If you've been following the channel for a while, or if you've gone back and looked at my older videos, this was actually the first type of camp I did on this channel. It's one of my favorite ways to camp. It's too early to tell because I need to see how this performs in the rain, but the design of this hot tent is hands down one of my favorites so far. It was super easy to pitch. It's fully freestanding. It's a massive amount of space with really convenient access to the stove, a huge inner. If this thing's waterproof, this may end up being one of my favorite hot tents that I've ever purchased. At only 2.4 kilos too. That's absolutely incredible for the amount of space you get in this thing. Really cool. I'm so excited. Just waiting on that rain to start. The winds are here. I can hear them. It's blowing through the trees pretty good. I'm not sure if it picks up on the camera, but the rain should be coming shortly. All right, I'm just gonna sit here, enjoy my beer, and watch the fire. I'll get back with you guys in a little bit. There we go. My chili. It smells ridiculous. So normally I make this at home for 4 people and I do everything with a pound of ground beef. But for whatever reason, whenever I make this on a camp, it always tastes better. Probably because I'm in a cool place next to a wood stove in a woodland on a camp, but it does typically taste better, and I think it's because maybe I overdo it on some of the seasonings. I don't know, but I really tried to measure everything this time because I knew I was going to be putting it on the website, so we'll see if it tastes as good as it normally does. Alright, first bite. It's so good. I highly recommend trying this. It'll be on my website, goingsoloutdoors.com. Chili's just one of those meals. Man, when it starts getting cold out, it's really hard to beat. And it's so hearty. The only thing I forgot, and I always seem to do this when I go camping, I forgot hot sauce. I love to put Cholula hot sauce on top of my chili, but unfortunately I forget to bring it every single time, so that's the only thing it's lacking, is the hot sauce on top. But like I said, I'll put it on my website at goingsoloutdoors.com and you can try it yourself. All right, well, I'm gonna tuck into this. I'll get back to you guys in just a little bit. Now that I'm done cooking, I just decided to turn the LEDs off and just hang out with the glow of the fire and the candle. I don't know if you guys can hear, but the winds are crazy. I looked it up. It's supposed to get to 22 mile per hour winds tonight, constant. Not thrilled about that. I'm actually in a area, I'm kind of in between a group of trees. I have the biggest tree I have near me is the one next to me over here, but he's kind of leaning that way a little bit. It's completely healthy from the looks of it, so I'm not too worried. But more than animals or anything, when camping in a woodland, I worry most about a windy night and trees and something falling on me. Well, this started at 7 o'clock, and it is supposed to rain until tomorrow night, so I should get 12 hours of rain tonight, which is awesome for hanging out in the tent. And it should be a fantastic test of how waterproof this tent is. But I can tell you right now, the amount of space in here is unbelievable for a hot tent. I'm really liking this thing. I just really hope it is waterproof. I mean, it should be, but you know, many tents claim to be, and then when you actually test them, they're not. I have high hopes. I have high hopes. It doesn't get much better than this. A wood stove, the flicker of a flame, and rain. So good. Alright, well, I'm just gonna relax, listen to this. It's pretty early, so I'll probably get back to you in maybe an hour or 2 hours. I'm just gonna hang out, read my book, and enjoy the sounds. I'll catch up with you in a little bit. Let's see how we did. So it's now 9 o'clock. It's been raining a couple hours. It's heavy and then lighter and then heavy, but it's been a constant drizzle. And I see no leaks or anything so far, so that's good. I'm not going to head to bed just yet. I'm just going to stoke the fire and hang out a bit more, listen to the wind and rain, keep reading. Really, really nice. I'm doing great on wood. I feel like I've barely used any. I haven't even touched some of these bigger oak pieces yet. I just wanted to come out real quick and check, make sure the guy lines and everything were good. Had a big gust of wind come in, and I heard something crash in the woodland. So to ease my mind, I just wanted to come out and make sure the trees are okay. So I have mostly smaller trees above me, so I think I should be fine. Tent's doing well though. So I've just been keeping the door open like this, so it just gets rain right here, but there's plenty of space inside, so it's not touching anything. All right, everything looks good. Time to go back in. Coat got wet from being outside. So there is this drying rack that's right here, but actually I think I might just go ahead and put my coat on top, because it's super warm up here, and that'll just dry it out. So relaxing. The winds sound pretty crazy out there. I've gotten asked the question in the past how a hot tent handles the wind, and it's actually not typically something I think about. When I'm hot tent camping, I'm in a woodland, and you know, this woodland's fairly dense. Even though the wind speeds are a constant 20 to 25 miles per hour tonight, you can hear it blowing pretty good at the tops of the trees, but down here at the ground level, you just don't experience it at all. I don't typically camp in open areas with a hot tent because you need wood, and so usually you're in a woodland, and so wind's just not something I normally think about. It is nice having a freestanding hot tent like this though, because there's no poles or anything like that in the way. It's just all a big open space in here, which is really cool, and it was super easy to pitch the tent as well. I think I'm going to go to bed pretty soon. I'm not going to keep feeding the stove through the night. I have my Zen Bivy quilt with me, and this is good down to -4, so I have plenty of warmth here. So I think I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. I'm just going to lay here, listen to the rain and the wind, and just kind of watch the fire die out, and I'll catch up with you guys in the morning. Good night. It's the middle of the night. I just got up to pee, so figured I'd see if the tent's doing okay. There appear to be no leaks, which is good. So check it a little bit closer in the morning. All right. Good night. fat wood this morning. Before going to bed, I cut up a whole bunch of really small kindling, and I have a bunch of really dry twigs as well. So if I can light a bit of this on the bottom of the stove, it should ignite everything else really easily. Go ahead and create a little bed inside there. So I always keep a Trangia stove with me with a little stand, just in case I don't want to mess with getting the fire going and I want to get out of here quickly. But as you can see, I'm in no rush, so won't need this today. But it's always a nice backup, because on one full canister of fuel, I use a bioethanol. I would have been able to cook my dinner last night. I wouldn't have been able to simmer it for an hour, but I would have been able to cook my dinner and make coffee in the morning with just one full Trangia, which is nice. It's a great backup. What a fantastic night. It's nothing quite like just listening to the rain on a tent. It rained hard too, the entire night. And just looking at the tent, it did phenomenal. I don't see any leaks at all. There is some puddling right here in the middle, a tiny bit. Oh, which I just caused to run down the stove. But other than that, as you can see, all the seams held up well. And I kept the door open just like that, and the little window all night. It doesn't even really look like much water got in the window. It did on just that bit right there, but that would have just dripped down here. Put a pretty good dent in the wood. I used pretty much all the new stuff that I had cut, and then a lot of this, some of those bigger pieces of oak, but not too shabby. Inner's completely dry as well. No condensation either, but that's to be expected, because even after going to bed at 11, the wood stove was still running for at least an hour, so nice and dry. Really great camp. All right, enough rambling. Let's get this coffee going. When I'm not on a mountain, this is how I prefer to drink my coffee in the woods. Cheers, guys. Nothing like that first sip. Oh man. So I have the door completely open. And as you can see from the awning, it comes down right up to around here. So, not bad. So you can have the door completely open. And you only lose about that much space. The rest of all of this is still covered. So you could have a chair over there probably still, especially if you moved your wood over here. Not a bad way to spend a rainy day. Sitting under cover next to a fire. My wife's actually going on a field trip with my son today, so she's going to drop the kids off, which means I am in absolutely no rush, especially in this rain. I don't want to have to take the stove down and the tent down in the rain, so I'm just going to kind of wait around for a break in it. It's not really supposed to. It's actually supposed to rain the entire day, but if it slows a bit, I might make a go for it and try to get out of here. Yeah, I don't think it's going to stop. It's not supposed to, but it was wishful thinking. I knew I was either going to get it on the front end or the back end, depending on which day I went for a camp. I think I prefer it this way. It was kind of nice to set up, do all the wood prep, dry, because that takes me at least an hour, hour and a half sometimes, so I would have been just standing in the rain that entire time. I suppose I could have tried to bring it in here and done the sawing, but not bad. Gotta say, I am absolutely loving this tent. The fact that it was able to withstand, what was that? So 7 p.m. it started. It is now 8 a.m. So 13 hours of rain. Not a single leak or wet seam. I cannot believe how cheap this tent was as well. It's pretty awesome. It'll take a few camps though for a final verdict. You know, I want to see the durability. This is only a 15D fabric, so as long as I'm careful, it should be fine. The tent floor is 20D fabric, and I have a ground sheet under that, so I'm not worried about that at all. So I think this may be a winner as an ultralight hot tent. Spacious, both in the vestibule and in the inner. Really cool. Alright, I'm just going to sit here, enjoy the rain, enjoy my coffee, slowly start to pack up, and I'll get back with you guys soon. This tent was not given to me. I purchased this with my own money. I just want to say that because I'm probably going to be raving about this because it is so good. Only 2.4 kilos, enough space for 2 pads, even though I wouldn't sleep 2 people in this. Actually, if anyone in the comments section, if any of you have the duo version of this or the 2-person version of this, it's like double the weight, but on paper it looked like it was also 50 inches wide, I want to say. Maybe I'm wrong, but if anyone has that, just let me know in the comments if you can actually sleep 2 people in that, because I may at some point end up picking that up for hot tent camping with my kids, because I absolutely love this design. And it's cheap as well. still raining, but definitely not as bad. So I'm going to try to move quickly and get the majority of this stuff down before it picks back up. See how incredibly easy it is to leave no trace? No need to leave a campfire. Just make a slurry with the ash, mix it with mud, cover it back up with leaves. It's like you were never here. I try to do this inside the tent. Man, it seems crazy. I used to use these big, thick metal pipes that you had to segment together, whereas this weighs less than one of those pipes by itself. It's crazy. All done. Alright, so I think I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. Looks like I'm getting a really nice break in the rain, so I'm going to take full advantage of it and just put away the camera and get hiking. It's so nice to get out for my first hot tent camp of the season. One of my favorite ways to camp, and with such a great tent. Hopefully you like this video. You'll definitely see some more hot tent camping this year. If you have any questions or comments, just leave them down below, and I'll catch you on the next one. Please like, share, get outside. Later.